And we are live. I want to thank everyone for tuning in to a very special edition of Off the Record on the People's Podcast this afternoon, this evening. We have an amazing guest with us today, one who is going to give us some phenomenal information as well as inspiration, and that is none other than the frontline soldier, student minister Shaheed Muhammad out of Dallas, Texas, but who is also an activist, a family man, and one who is working tirelessly in the community as well as in the mosque to uphold the banner of Islam. Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Wa alaikum salam, brother.
Yes, sir. And on behalf of myself, my family, and the viewing audience of the People's Podcast, we thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to come have a conversation with us today.
Yes, sir.
The
It's
first
always
question
an
that
honor.
we, yes, sir. The first question that we have for you today is: I reached out to you because, as a fan of hip hop, like yourself and many of us,
Yes,
we are
sir.
losing a lot of artists.
Yeah.
Um, Recently, Memphis, Sauce Walker was shot. His artist was unalived. Then dealing with Yellow Beezy getting arrested, going back to Mo 3 in Dallas. And I know that you are not only a minister, but an artist, a hip hop artist, as well as producer, creative, but you work closely with our young people.
Yes,
Uh,
sir.
and many young people have lost, many people, period, have lost hope, but
Right.
especially the young generation. What can we do to keep, to keep the young people, give them some hope?
Man, first of all, I wanna say, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I want to thank the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan for seeing something in your little brother to even place me in the position to even help, So besides that, first, man, it goes back to brother, it's like we really gotta believe in what was given to us by Master Farad Muhammad and passed
Mm,
down through the ranks. It's so
mm,
powerful, and you really don't know it until you learn how to use it without making it seem compulsory or make you know what I'm saying? Because
yes,
there's no
sir.
compulsion in making it, so it's how you explain it to the young brother. So you know, I guess I just been given the gift to give them an exegesis to make to where it doesn't feel like you're joining a classic religion or you're talking to a classical minister or preacher, but coming in a way that um, makes them feel good about themselves, and two, they already know what's right from wrong by nature.
Yes, sir.
A lot of our young people are in survival mode, bro. So if they hear that there's a bag on top of somebody's head, somebody gonna pick that up. And it's sad, but that's just where we at in 2025. Even when we're dealing with all of these different murders and record companies making our people rich, and they thinking that doing this degeneracy, or how the Quran says how the devil makes evil fair seeming. So they
Yes,
so they
sir.
so they feel like when they doing bad, they getting rich by doing bad. So it's got to be a good thing, and this how I can help my mama out. But then when they get it, they still kind of ignorant to how they being played, and so they end up going back into this cycle of violence because they think they Nino Brown or whatever character that they glorify on TV, brother. Like seriously, bro, it's I can't understand it while we're caught up in this cycle, but I can understand it. You know what I'm saying? While we're caught up in this cycle, so I just try to give them a good word, lift them up from where they at. I can relate to them, especially those who are in single parent homes, born in the hood, no family around them, may have to have government assistance here and there. But, as a young man, I can give them that aspect of where I was determined to get out of that and not really lean towards the negative that could end you in prison, because we all have friends that go that way. But it's just like, in the movie Boys in the Hood or any other movies that deal in our community, there's always that one person that's around the group that's speaking right. You know what I'm saying? He hangs around the group, but he's always speaking right. So
Yes, man.
I think that's pretty much like the character that I played as a little boy growing up in the inner cities of Kansas City. And so I remember you asked me a question the other day. You was asking me like, you ain't scared to go in there or nothing like that. I was like, bro, I don't really think of it like that because I'm not coming in there having done anything wrong to either party. You know, they look at me or look at us in the city of Dallas as that group that can mediate and that'll speak the truth. And we coming from a position of strength because they're used to listening to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. You know what I'm saying? And when you hear that lion roaring, then you think all the lions up under him are roaring like that, you know? So it's, you know, and that's how we get in and we mediate these different situations that, you know, Allah has blessed us to be a part of.
All praises due to Allah, and
All
people
praise to Allah.
people are showing you love all around the world, brother minister. Welcome salam, sister Naima. Thank you to brother Kente, brother Musa, sister Hope, sister Auntie, brother Duke out of Canada. Everybody who shows love and taps into the people's podcast.
All
We
praise
want
to
to,
Allah.
yes, sir. Specifically,
Mhm.
I was just reflecting with my sisters earlier. One of the
Mhm.
brothers who I've known now 20 years, which is wild. When I first met him, was at a funeral of his
Mhm.
brother who was murdered.
Mhm.
We go to the funeral, and I don't do well with funerals. I rather just stand outside. I don't like all the crying, music, and all of that.
Yes, sir.
And I looked at the parents, and that's who I kept. I was like, "Damn, it's mom, man, it's dad." You worked very closely with Mo 3's parents before he was murdered, as well as now. How was you all's relationship, and what advice you give to us dealing with the parents of those young men who lose their lives?
I would say just stay tapped in. I mean, you know, I'm not overbearing and like, you know, constantly checking on him. But last time when I did speak to the parents, it was at the mosque. We met at the mosque and we was dealing, this was a total different situation because they're still dealing with things that's going around the estate. Um, so just open, being truthful, really having a real listening ear, you know, to what's going on. Of course, the way the parents grieve is going to be different, so you really don't know. But you know, even in those situations, man, you just really just you know just try to be a friend, and you know, and
Mm,
try to help console and listen so to where you can guide them and keep them on the right course so they don't crash out. You know, um, because I mean, especially when you're dealing with three, he was a very strong young man. You know, I put it to you like that. You know,
mm,
we had a lot of conversations about. Well, I should say we had a very long conversation about you know him changing. You know, and
mm,
he was on his way, and then this is before he had signed, because at this time he was unsigned, and everybody was looking to sign him. Rapper Law was looking to sign him. All these different labels was looking to sign him, and you know, I was just trying to keep him independent. You know, but you know, when you got people around you with different agendas, and you never know who they are, man, you just never know what's going on. But what I can say is the last conversation that I had with him was so positive, and I can see, you know, even though he's not, how can I say, he's not innocent in any of these situations, you know, because he's in that lifestyle, bro.
yes, sir.
And
Yes, sir.
but what I gravitated to was really, you know, just by talking to him was his strength. Because I really like to be around strong men. I don't like to be around a lot of weak men who hide stuff and then try to sneak you behind the back and all that stuff. I'd rather you tell me what's up so I know what's up because I'm gonna tell you what's up if I feel like that. And so that's what I really respected about the young brother. And you know, unfortunately, you know, he just couldn't escape what happened. So, you know, like the Quran says, only Allah knows your time, but it's still an ongoing investigation going on and all of that. So, but that's what I would say when you're dealing with parents and you're dealing with the loved ones of a lost one. You know, be empathetic, be sympathetic, you know, to what's going on. But the main thing is we got to figure out a way to stop this black on black violence. We got to stop this cycle, man. You know what I'm saying? I know, especially, you know, us who are, you know, who have knowledge, who say we got knowledge and knowledge supreme and knowledge cipher, you know, whatever knowledge point you want to put out there. But, you know, at the end of the day, what good is knowledge if we can't use it to help our community, man? You know, what
Mm,
good is it, you know, at all if we're not able to use the knowledge to create some different type of avenue or even come together ourselves to help create this type of energy, you know, because the young people feel the energy. You know what I'm saying? You know, I mean, just look at it like this, bro. It's like, you know, a lot of us come to the nation and we'll say, you know, we never had a father, but we look at the minister as our father. And like, it's the same way in the streets. So you go in the streets and they looking for the OG, you know, but if you're not out there, then they don't know. You know what I'm saying? But if you out there and you got an open door, communication. I used to talk to children. I used to talk to students in middle school playing Madden, bro. You know what I'm saying? We have a time where we'd be on Madden. We had Madden tournaments, but it gave me an opportunity to talk to them, you know. and it helped me and it helped them at the same time. So, that would be some advice that I would give to those who are trying to get out here and just really help our communities.
All praise due to Allah. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I too, especially with the drill team, that was one of our biggest bonding sports. Of course, fighting,
Uh,
training together. But video games, please, what are we talking about? So when we go in the community, you already know the people going to want to know, can y'all play Madden? You up on 2K, Call of Duty? Can you be normal? You ain't got nothing to you gotta have some kind of connection. You can't just talk
right.
about bean pies every day. It's like, you gotta talk about, they want to know what's going on.
Right. Yes, sir. That's right. That's
Yes,
right. They
sir.
don't. They want to see your humanity. And that's what it's all about, man. You don't never have to profess whatever label that you think that's making you who you are. You just got to show it. And show it in a way that's not turning people off.
Mm. Yes, sir. Okay. Praise be to Allah. And thank you for your work on behalf of myself, my family, and the viewing audience of the People's Podcast. We salute you, sir, for the work that you're doing, and shout out to your family as well.
Thank you,
Um,
brother. Praise be to Allah.
when we watch everything on our phones, the news, and you're seeing the crime rate increase, what are some of the steps that we can take, people who are in the nation and outside the nation, to actively help, conflict resolution and making our community a safe and decent place to live?
Well, one of the best advice that I got was from Brother Akbar when he was in Dallas one time. He told me how they used to do it in New York. He said they would just follow the newspaper articles and follow what's going on the crime rate and things like that. And then when you find the story, go visit the people, go reach out to them, like that, start getting known as that person in the community. That doesn't mean like you got to go and you got to have a camera crew and you got to have all, you know what I'm saying? This ain't like that type of situation, but you building up rapport with the people, you building up rapport with loved ones, and they see that you really care because you're not coming with all of that. They don't want to see a publicity. They really want to hear some positive words. And so that was the advice that Brother Akbar had gave me years ago. And he said that's how Malcolm used to do it. He said that's how the minister used to do it. That's how they used to do it. They just follow the news articles and see what's going on. So, early in, I say I've been on this post for like almost 10 years now. So, like the first couple years, I would go to the police chief because at this time we would have turnover in the police chiefs in Dallas. So I would always, me and the captain at that time, we would go visit the police chief, and then we would ask them like, what is your what zip code are you seeing majority of your crimes at, and what are these crimes? What are your hard hit areas? And then those areas is where we would focus on pushing the paper, where they would see a positive light, see a clean brother. You know what I'm saying? You may see a brother who was in juvenile, since I work with the young people. You may see a brother who was in juvenile one time, tatted all up. The next time you see him, he got the bow tie on. He out there. What's up? This is what saved my life, bro. This is what it is, And he talked to him in a way that he can understand. Because you ain't got to come with all that religious jargon. You just got to come with some hard fact truths and what's right and what's wrong. And everything will work its way out.
Beautiful, beautiful teaching, Brother Minister, and people are showing you love all around the world. I think this is Brother Rashid's first time watching live. He says he sends the greetings, return it, and he just said he spoke to you yesterday. Shout out to Brother Rashid and his business. And of course,
yes, sir. Yeah, I
yes,
know what
sir.
you're talking about.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now, I wanted to ask you about the, you said you work with the youth. What makes you see and help us see what you see when you see young people, primarily black men, of course women, but primarily black men, who the world is seen as threats, the crime rates, these are quote YNs, quote, end quote, you know what I'm saying? There's a wild, ain't nothing you can do. What makes you still have that love to go after them, and help us see why you have that love to go after them?
Because I used to be one of them. So it's like, you don't really fear it that much. I think it's more played up than anything, but a lot of things they're doing for money. So they just not out here just wilding just to be wild. And some of them, a lot of it has another alternative motive involved in it. But I started out working with the youth because I was a middle school teacher. And of course, as a black male in a middle school, then you have to handle majority of the discipline. Sometimes the COs or I say them the COs, but the SROs, the SROs would go even pick up young men from their houses, bro. Or they would catch them doing a breaking and entering, and they would catch them and bring them back to me. They wouldn't even take them to jail. And so me and some other gentlemen at the time, they're not Muslims, but they're vested in the community, you know. And so we would go to my office. At this time, I'm an assistant principal, and we would try to work it out. We take the weed off of them, put it in there. Oh, whatever we got to do to win them over, to tell them, man, this is gonna be your last chance, bro. They got all this on you, and you know, just speaking just straight words to them and what's going on. Then they'll start to break down. I ain't never had my daddy, my mom ain't doing it. Just whatever the situation is, and you got to fill that gap, because a lot of us are just hurting and we have no guidance, you know. And when you hurt and you ain't got no guidance, you know, as another man looking at a young man growing up who don't have that guidance, I mean, you got to give it to him. You know, you have to, because they're gonna look at you as the OG, just like the minister is giving us the guidance who didn't have it. So why would you cut them off out of fear? That means that your prayer ain't right. You know what I'm saying? That means your heart ain't right. That means your spirit ain't right. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what grows you to be fearless. So you fear no one but Allah. So how you gonna say, when I'm looking at God, and every time I'm seeing a black man, I'm looking at God, but then you fear to go save God, because God got to be resurrected, man. And our young people are fearless, you know? So I'm not saying that that's everybody, but it's some that are like that, you know? And you got to just figure out a way, man. You got to get with those who aren't afraid and see the methodology that they use and learn, you know, join that school of thought, you know, going in and saving our youth, join that school of thought, you know, because if we can put this together right, because we got money. It ain't that we don't have money. It's just our programs. We don't trust each other with our programs. There's still a level of untrust on all levels in the black community. You know what I'm saying? So it's getting past that trust, that factor that we don't trust you because, okay, you're gonna do something slick, or you're gonna say something slick, or this is you in it for your own intentions. And it's very difficult to move past that. You know, because we've definitely been worked on, but we don't trust each other. So that black inferiority comes in at all times, Brother Josh. And I can't tell you how many times I thought someone was solid and they really wasn't solid, but I'm gonna give them the benefit, you know. But I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt at all times, you know. And when you see it, you look at it, you know, it's a test, and you just, you know, try to make your adjustments. But to go back to your question, it's just you got to be around a group of individuals that's really about that life. At the end of the day, they really want to go save the black community. They really want to go save the black male. And in saving the black male, you're gonna save the black female, because you teaching him how to love. Then it's just gonna trickle down to where he's teaching her how to love. You know, because he's not gonna stop pursuing her. And that's the whole thing. So if you give him something different to put in his mouth, he can be all gold fronted out, tattooed down, braided up, but if he speak them good words, and then he can lift you. You lifting up a whole nother generation. You know, because it's all about what does it say? If you don't know the language, you will not be successful.
That's right. That's right. That's what it said. Beautiful. You teach about minister, and people bear witness all around the world. Divine Light says, Assalamu alaikum, Ramadan Bark, Ramadan Kareem.
Kareem.
Our brother, student captain Amir says, Assalamu alaikum, salam, sir. Thank you for holding it down. Si Wanu, you got a strong name, so I'm going to butcher it. Walaikum salam, Ramadan Kareem. And my brother-in-law, Akeem, says, all praise to Allah. Thank you for tapping in and showing love, Akeem. And he's saluting. I think that's what it is. Yes, sir. Boom. Thank you to everybody who is watching and continue to show love. Our next question. Okay, no, that's not my brother-in-law. So this is a different Akeem. So, you know what I'm saying? So shout out to this Akeem. You know what I'm saying? All right.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right. And the next question we have for you, sir, is how do you work with other the church, gangs, or NAACP fraternities?
Mm-hmm.
How important is it for us to connect with all of the organizations in our city?
Yeah, it's very important, because if you don't connect to all of the black organizations, man, then you dead. I mean, I came in to the nation, I was a Kappa. You know, not I was, I am a Kappa. You know what I'm saying? Yes, so as far as that portion of the fraternity part, I already had that, you know, coming in. So I was already connected to them. To the Freemasons, I'm connected to them because I'm a Mason also. So it's like you can't be afraid to join and get in and learn the language and learn the people, and then build a relationship with them. You know, that's not taking anything away from your Islam, you know, at all, because if you know the levels of this thing, then you know Islam is always at the top anyway. So it doesn't matter. But you got to learn the language. So when I'm getting in and I'm mingling and I'm networking and I'm going to the meetings here and there and I'm meeting brothers that want to talk, then we talk. I don't shy away from it. And I ask them, what can we do to help? How can you come help? And so they come to the mosque, they'll come here, they'll come there, and they'll come at least see what we about. And then next thing you know, we working in the community together. So it's about getting in, building that rapport with people. And then after you build that rapport, then I mean, now you got a friend. It's the same thing. Win friends and influence people. You
That's
got to
right.
learn.
That's
We
right.
got to learn. We got to learn how to be friends. And then
Oh,
once we're friends, then you're more acceptable to what I'm saying.
praise be to Allah.
And you can
Yes,
see
sir.
it. And you can see it from my point of view. And that's really what's important, is to see it from the different point of views that we have about how to attack and how to save the Black youth.
Wonderful. Now, for those of us who aren't in Dallas
Uh-huh.
but would like to visit, where do we visit? How can we support the mines? How do where do we pull up in when we come to Dallas?
Oh, come to 2429 MLK Boulevard, baby. You know what I'm saying? That's where the mosque is in Sunnyside, South Dallas, in the hood, in where Dixon Circle is, where all they hear about on the rap songs. That's where we at. So, or you can go to NOIDallas48.org and you can tap in from there. You can catch us on Facebook at Muhammad Moss number 48. And just tap in, just reach out to us. And you can call us at 214-421-4848. And somebody will pick up the line. And you can text the line and we'll text back. So we're very accessible. We're very accessible.
Praise be to Allah. We have two more questions before we go. First of all, well,
Oh,
three, because I
oh
just thought
man,
about this.
I say that's
Yes, sir.
fast, Josh.
Yes, sir. No, I wanted to ask you about family life.
Okay, yes,
Uh,
sir.
yes, sir. What advice would you give to future husbands?
Um, put your family first, bro. Put your family first. That's what I would say. There's going to be a lot of distractions that can distract you away from you, especially when you're growing your family. Me and my wife, we've been together for over 20 years now, but I met my wife in college. I met her. We were young when we met, and so when we started having children, at the time I had just joined the nation, and I'm all gun ho, and so you learn that balance, and you learn from the mistakes of those who tried to do it the way you going before. You know what I'm saying? So at the time, I had a captain there who was just, he was telling me about balance. I had a minister who would teach me about just having a balance to it, you know, and learning that, because everybody's family dynamic is different. So all you can do is just take the good from the advice and try to apply it. You can't apply everything, but whatever applies to your life, on how you do it. But and you got to have a very understanding sister, that's about the cause, but she's gonna always be about this family. She's gonna always be the one that pressures you about the family dynamic. So listen, have an open ear, and don't try to rule with your muscle. Rule with your mind, man. You know what I'm saying? Like the OG pimps used to say, man, if you got a mind, man, you got a body. You know
Yes,
what
sir. Yes, sir. This is facts.
I'm
Church.
saying?
Yes, sir.
Church, right? So as Black men, we got to learn that, because we're coming out of an environment where if we don't get our way, we want to fight. And I've seen young men sock women, you know what I'm saying? Or sock a young girl on a bus, and I had to, pull him in and be like, this is school talking, because he ain't got nobody to teach him.
Mm-mm.
So you got to give him that training. Like, come on, bro. If you disrespecting, you supposed to be her protector. Then who gonna want her? You know what I'm
Yes,
saying? Who
sir.
gonna be there? How are you projecting yourself to others?
Mm.
So it's a whole, man. It's a lot of education that we got to do. Like the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, we got to be totally re-educated. You got to be totally re-educated.
Facts. All praise to some people on bear witness. Believe this is I see Brandon, so I'm assuming it's Chef Brandon. Just Dallas, just Dallas tapping in. Subscribe to everybody we showing love from Dallas.
Yes,
Speaking
sir.
of families, brother student captain Amir,
Uh-huh.
strong family,
Yes, sir.
wife, children, everybody. I interviewed another brother from Dallas, talked about his wife, and he's a nation
Yeah.
baby, children,
Yeah.
and all that. How
Yes, sir.
important is the family environment inside Mosque number 48?
Oh, it's very important. We all have large families. Brother Captain Amir, I have a large family. You got Brother Terry. You got, I think you interviewed Brother Bashar at that
Brother
time.
Shad?
His,
Yes, sir.
his family is growing. The family dynamic is important. we definitely believe in family. No doubt. These are conversations that we have, especially about our children, about what they're doing, about how they're growing up, the type of information that we're allowing them to see or the type of information that they walk up on. But I think that one of the main things that really helps us out is that we're open to talk to each other about these conversations. You know what
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying? So if I'm talking to Brother Amir about something, I can be straight. I ain't gotta hide nothing. You know what I'm saying? And vice versa. So if you're transparent about that, I think it builds an opportunity for both of us to grow. And anybody who's in those situations, I mean, as long as you're transparent and be like, even if you messed up, you know what I'm saying? Explain it. Be like, man, I could have did it this way, but I didn't, and X, Y, and Z. And then, because that could help the next man. Even you may think he had the answer, but hell, he may have messed up like that. He listening to you, but you don't know. You know what I'm saying? So, I think that's the beautiful thing of what we got in Dallas and our age and our dynamic. You know what I'm saying? Is that we are transparent with each other. We want to hear if you disagree, say it. Don't hide it. Say it so we'll know. You know what I'm saying? So we can come to a solution. But you got to have that mindset to want to come to a solution. You know what I'm saying? Because, some of us, if we don't get our way, we just crash out and leave. And that's stagnating your growth. You know what I'm saying? Because communication is everything, man. Communication is everything. It's communication in your relationship, communication in your frat, communication with your mom, communication with dad, wherever it is. It's got to be a level of communication with your God. It's got to be a certain level of communication that keeps the signal going. Where we can feel comfortable with each other. So I think that's what really has helped us out here in Dallas when we talk about our family dynamic and us as growing families as young men trying to navigate this world.
All praise due to Allah. Excellent teaching, brother minister, and people are showing you love all around the world. Thank you all. People saying, assalamu alaikum, salam, depths of blackness. Thank you. Somebody saying they're out of DFW. I don't know what that means. They're out in DFW. Some Dallas.
You got to be successful. You got to know the language to be successful, brother.
Yes,
so if I say already, you're gonna be like, what you talking about? I say,
no. Okay, I got that. Okay. All right, but I wanted to ask you, sir, about you said you grew up single mother, single
yes,
parent,
sir. Yes, sir.
and then you refused to let that take place. How can people who come from that type of background, the mindset that you had to make sure that that would not be your reality? What was that?
Well, man, I was born with a very aggressive personality. So my mom had me as a teenager at like 14, 15 years old. So we kind of like growing up together, right? So the other men that I met growing, they would always drop a positive note on me if I was at the boys club boxing or whatever and fighting, because I used to get in a lot of fights. I used to get in a lot of fights back then. And so I was just determined, because in the beginning, when you got me reflecting, in the beginning, when I think back, I didn't know any better. I thought this is just what it is because I'm fresh to the world. I'm here, helicopters in the hood and all. This is just how it's supposed to be. And then when we moved to another section of town, and I'm just like, wow, I didn't even know you can do this or you can live like this. And I think that's really what it is. You have to navigate the planet, man. There's some people here in South Dallas or in Texas that never left their neighborhoods. It's just like it's people in Atlanta that's never left their neighborhood, so they don't know what it's like in Colorado, or they don't know what it's like in Tennessee. You know what I'm saying? And just that trip alone will help a young man see things differently. It's just like I say, for instance, like the Kappa League. We had a Kappa League in Kappas, right, where we go take the young men who are in high school and they take them to all of these different colleges. So we'll have maybe like 500 students. So I'm always in front of young people. Yeah, and you'll see some of them light up because they've never been out of the environment that they've been in, so they don't even know it's possible. They can hear the preacher say it, they can hear me say it, they can hear you say it, but until you change the environment, then they won't believe it. They got to see it for themselves, like, wow, this is really, Black people can really do this, right? It was, for instance, I remember when I went to Washington, D.C. one time, and we was visiting some of our relatives in Virginia, and I didn't realize they had an all-Black town where just Black people ran the whole thing, right? And I really had never seen that before. And I'm like in my 20s, you know what I'm saying? I just really never had seen that before. But when I seen it, it blew my mind. So now I know it's possible. So when I read the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad that said that we could do X, Y, and Z, and we got to do for self, I know it's possible. He's just not talking about it. You know what I'm saying? There's people who are actually out here doing it. They may not say that they're AKA Muslim or they're AKA whatever label, but what they are doing is they're doing for self. They're self-preserving themselves, bro, and you got to commend them for that. One of my closest friends, a sister who he married, I went to his wedding. Actually, I was in his wedding a few years ago, and his wife is from a family who owns a town in Louisiana. So all the street names are named after their relatives. We go into the store that they own. They got married in the convention center that they own. They took me to a slave plantation where they filmed Django at. They took me
Mm.
all of these other places. And at this time, I'm probably like in my 30s, mid 30s when I see this part. And I'm just like, dang, it's just blowing my mind because these are Black people that this is all they know how to do is build towns. And then ironically, just last week, another person that I was in a meeting with, and he does seminars on how to build Black towns, or not Black towns, just how to build towns, period. You
Yes,
know what
sir.
I'm saying? Just how to build towns and how to utilize the community in order to build that wealth. So I'm kind of like going under his tutelage and picking his brain on just how does that get started, because he's one of the top real estate investors in this area that I'm in, and it just came out of nowhere that he was talking about this because we actually was meeting about something else, and he gave me the workbook, and I've been kind of looking at it, and I'm like, wow, so it can be possible, and that's all you got to know is that it's possible, and now you just got to get the right people together that's honest and that's ready to do it. So, so that has been my journey, and that is what helped me to know that there's more on the other side than what we're looking at. That there's not a glass ceiling that, man, this is all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna be a doughboy, man. I'm gonna sell, I'm pushing pills, I'm fentanyl in it, and I'm shooting raps and I'm blowing chronic in the air, you know what I'm saying? And I'm acting, I'm dancing, and that dude is more to it's more to it than that. But if we don't show them that it's more to it than that, then it's not gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? I remember me and Brother Amir was talking about this one time about marching, and we was talking about how the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad didn't want us marching and all of these things. And there had been, times where we had to march and shut down, like maybe a grocery store, or we shut down just say a convenience store in our community, right? But we could shut it down, but what is the plan to resurrect it? That's the part. You know what I'm saying? So if I'm gonna shut down this person's established business because he's not treating us right, and we 98% of the community and this and all that, but then we go shut it down, and then everybody's still relying on the government to open it back up, then where's the real justice at in that? You know what I'm saying? Somebody from the community should just take it over. We got investors, and then boom, now we starting to build, now we starting to roll. So all of these things have been placed in my life, from a little boy, coming from a single parent home, to my mother getting married, to my stepfather teaching me construction and business, you know what I'm saying? To him teaching me how to do taxes when I was in the 5th grade. So all of these different things I'm learning from other men, not my biological father, even though I know my biological father, you know what I'm saying? We have a cool relationship, but I'm learning this from other men growing up. All I can say is all praise is due to Allah for bringing them into my life, because without it, I would just be another kid from the ghetto who probably never would have thought that I could go to college. Who probably would have never thought that I could graduate from college. Who never thought that, because I wasn't even thinking about marriage. I thought different about women back then. You know what I'm saying? To now, I'm all about marriage. And so it's just as we elevate and we mature, bro, just really all the young people that are looking, man, all the positive people that are in your life, man, listen to them, bro. And at least research that when you on your phone and just see what you can do, because you can do a lot right now. You don't have to wait till you're 18, man. You need to start now while you're 13, 14, 15 years old. Start being a visionary and start looking at where you want to be at when you're 30 years old, because that's how I thought when I was 10, 11 years old. I said, shoot, by 30, man, I'm going to have this worked out. I'm going to have that worked out. Then when 30 came along, I may not have this part worked out, but I've had some positive gains in my life,
Yes, sir.
So that's what's helped me on my journey, is just trying to stay positive around everything, no matter what it is.
All praises to Allah. You teaching, real man. You teaching.
All praises
That's
to
amazing
Allah.
information as well as inspiration. Shout out to our brother, Mr. Shaheed, holding down out of Dallas. People showing you love again. Thank you, brother Ian.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Okay, this got to be Chef Brandon because he's very persistent about these questions. I'm like, okay, brother, we coming to your questions. We coming to it. Yes, sir. We have a brief 60-second commercial break for
Yes,
all of the
sir.
sponsors of the People's Podcast. 1 second. Here we go. We are grateful for every like, share, subscription. My sister's gonna be like, don't forget about shout out to everybody who did the super chat yesterday with my uncle, Mr. Jamil. People were showing nothing but love. But Mr. Shahid, was that you in there yesterday? Who said I didn't know if that was Mr. Shahid? Was that you or not?
No, that wasn't me.
That,
But what I can say is, brother
that
Jabril, brother Jamil is. I mean, I remember when I first met him when he came to Dallas. He was stopping through. We had a really good time. We had a really good time.
praise be to the Lord. Okay, hold on 1 second. Here we go. Here we go. Boom, boom. Ba, 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 ba. Shout out to the left. Boom, boom. Here we go. Thank you, everybody. There we go. And of course, I see all your likes and shares, subscriptions. Shout out to the People's Podcast. Here we go. Ba, 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 ba. We are live with the People's Podcast. Street Premier Media Production. He has a 4K camera and a drone. He does television and film editing. Please reach out if you need any of that. Sister Naima, Stay On Point Dance Academy. She teaches ballet virtually to young girls all across the country. Sister Miriam, ABC I Love Me children's book and coloring book. My father's book, A Soldier in the Movement of Christ. My two books, Cleopatra, which is a children's book, and No Father, No Excuse, both of which are available on Amazon. Excellent. All right, we're right back with our brother, Minister Shahid Muhammad out of Dallas, Texas. Brother, Chef Brandon is being very persistent. He's wrote like 10 times in the comments. He wants you to talk about the captain staff that you were a part of. I don't know what that is.
When I first came into the nation, I was part of at that time, Brother Tyrone was the captain.
Yes, sir.
But I don't know what specifically he wanted me to explain about it. But however, he was the captain when we first came in, and you know, I learned how to do everything any other soldier would learn how to do when they come to the ranks. You learn how to push papers, you know how to do this. We had another brother there who was Brother Fred at the time, who was pushing I think like 1,000 papers a week and
Okay,
all this
okay.
thing. So but the main thing what I learned is I can just say from my shippies, those who came in with me, you know, once you get X and everybody else come along with their X that same year, is that you learn the different personalities from them. Like at that time, Brother Brandon, I think Enid had just came in, Brother Amada just came in, Brother several other brothers I just can't think of their names right now that came in, and you would see, like, say for instance, like those who would say that they used to do this and do that, but then when it's time to push the paper, they didn't know how to sell it. You know what I'm saying? So you know, you learn just different personalities, but it was I think I learned a lot actually. You know, I rose up. I was a lieutenant. I was a squad leader. We used to teach brothers how to organize, but back then we was on a 24-hour rotation when we were talking about securing the mine. So it was a lot of different things now. But you know, coming up to 2025, you know, we have evolved. Technology has evolved, and
Yes, sir.
even some of the things that I thought were archaic back then are very viable today, even with our present captain. So I think we're still moving in a very positive manner at 48. And the beautiful thing about it is that, you know, I'm still in contact with all the former ministers. They still help me. You know what I'm saying? They still guide me in certain situations, you know, so I'm not out here all alone in this city and I don't have anybody that I can call and just be like, hey, bro, can you tell me about this person right here, this person right? Because they coming at me like this and I don't understand. So, you know, those years coming up in the mosque, man, I think they were very viable, and I saw some things, and you know, it's just a beautiful thing. So, you know, just keep 48 on the horizon. We the victory, baby. So it ain't gonna stop.
All praise due to Allah. Yes, sir. And they're showing that it's Brandon Washington. He's not Chef Brandon. Okay, well, but y'all got to see our YouTube names look so different. So Brandon Washington is who's asking. Your name said Brandon Washington. I just assumed it was Chef Brandon. Thank you,
Yes,
brother
sir.
Captain Mayor, sir, for always being right there on your job, sir. I wanted to add now to lighten on a lighter note. We want
Yes,
to
sir.
usually, because you're an artist, hip hop artist, got to ask you, sir. Last time we asked you your favorite album, so we got to come back again. Could you let us know what you're listening to right now? What's on rotation on Spotify, Pandora, YouTube? What do you listen to help relax?
Right now, I'm listening to Q1 by Slay Stone. You know what I'm
Okay,
saying? That's an artist here out of Dallas that
okay, okay.
I help produce and promote. And I think we should look it up. So Google or go to go to iTunes and go Slate Stone and look for the Q1.
Q1.
Q1,
Okay.
Q1, first quarter. That's a nice little album that we produced. Other than that, today I've been listening to the Isley Brothers. I'm going a little
Okay.
old school
Okay.
now. I was listening to LTD. I was listening to the
Okay.
Barcades. I
Okay.
done went all the way back to the '60s on them because you know, as a producer though, you know, as a producer, you gotta you listen to these different genres. And during the band
Absolutely.
era, it was such they have such beautiful melodic melodies that it inspires you. You know, I can, you know, even when I listen to the hip hop today, it's cool, but I like to go back to where it's just kind of swinging it. Sometimes the beat is off on the drum and yeah, it's nice. So lately I've been listening to that, but the only rap artist I've really been listening to is Slay Star.
Yes, sir. And I mean, you're a Kappa, so it makes sense. You listen to Ozzy Brothers, you out there strolling.
Ah!
All smooth. You know, we get it. We get it. Yes, sir. And brother Demeric D. Muhammad says, ASA praise be to Allah for his Langston University and FOY brother and fellow Moss 48 family. You know what I'm
Go
saying?
ahead.
So, yes, sir.
Okay,
Shout out
go
to him as
ahead.
well. The last question that we have for you is to the people who I really see a lot of the mothers. We spoke to
Mm-hmm.
just the family in general, but a lot of the single mothers out here who get on social media and they crying out their children, you know what I'm saying? That we had a, this is a real situation out here, not just in Dallas, Atlanta, my goodness,
Mm-hmm.
Chicago, LA, New York, Jersey. This is with as the Most High Missiles Farrakhan did around 2007, 2008,
Mm-hmm.
youth in peril. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like this is justifiable homicide. We're
Mm-hmm.
literally it's the same thing right now in 2025.
Mm-hmm.
What advice do you give to the mothers of these children who are trying to just keep faith that don't want to send their sons off and think that they're not gonna come home and they just panicking? What advice do you give to them?
Stay prayed up, sister. And and try to get some positive mentors into where they are. You know, when you see a positive role model out there, supporting, support them, but stay prayed up. Don't give up on your child, on your son. I can't speak on everyone's situation, but what I can say is that the mental is just messed up and they trying to figure it out, and they trying to figure it out the best way they can. And you have to just stay positive and be persistent. Don't ever give up on your child. You birthed them, you know what they're capable of doing, but other influences have interfered in their development and they may took them off the wrong path. So I want to go back to even the men. We can't be preying on these sisters because they single either. You know what I'm saying? You got to have some type of integrity, partner. You know what I'm talking about? Don't think with the wrong head. So uh, we got to get into the schools and do more mentorship programs, and stop making all these excuses of why we can't, because you want to go in looking a certain way. You may have to go in looking another way. The whole point is get in there. You know what I'm saying? Get in there so you can influence the young man or the young woman. Because once we get in there and we can get to the high school, because one thing I can tell you this, man, is the high school dropouts always go back to the high school. They're either
Mm,
gonna go
mm,
pick up something or they got communication with somebody in the high school. So if you can get to the high school and make a positive influence in the high school, then you can put a dent in these murder rates. You can put a dent in it, brother, and that's really what where I'm at with it, is that once we see that, then the mothers are going to support us. But don't. One thing I can say is please don't take advantage of their pain. Don't do that. Don't do that, because then you're going to ruin the integrity of all the righteous ones who are really really trying to do it. And now there goes again. Now we got a trust factor that's involved in there. You
yeah.
see what I'm saying? Just a little subtlety, you know. So that's what I would say to the mothers, man. Is just find a good mentor for your son, no matter who it is. Basketball for me, it was a seventh grade football coach, you know, and I never even wanted to play football, but he was talking and I was listening. And it was making sense to me. And I was like, yes, sir, I got you. I got you. Yeah, yeah. And so you just never know who's really going to influence your child. And you may just want to ask him straight up, are there any men that you look up to, that you
Mm,
that you listen to? Just ask them that you think are positive, and he may tell you. And it may be the person you trying to keep him away from. You
mm,
know what
mm.
I'm saying? You just never know. So just keep working it. Just keep working it.
All praise be to Allah. Excellent. Hey, Uncle Chip, we just spoke you up. Walaikum salam, sir, brother minister. He said this
Who's
is a
that?
brilliant Muslim brother, and my uncle
Oh,
minister says brilliant Muslim brother. Lekum Salam, Sister Mimi, thank you for holding it down. Depths of Blackness says, my brothers and my friends. Shout out to Depths of Blackness. I don't know who you are, sir, but thank you all. That's what I'm saying. To avoid those, y'all just put your real names in the chat so we know who I'm shouting out. People be like, man, you ain't said my name. I'm like, I don't know who GZ44. Hey, listen, I'm only reading your YouTube name. I'm only reading your YouTube name. He says, keep working. Walaikum salam. Thank you, Brother Demeric, D. Muhammad, and of course, thank all your laborers, your laboring staff, the believers of Mosque number 48. I look forward to visiting Dallas. I hope that Kyrie gets better so I can come. I wanted to come see Kyrie play live. And shout out to tell student captain Amir, y'all can get that. Y'all need to reach out for that security contract on the GM in Dallas because he shipped Luka to LA, so he needs some security right now because everybody in Dallas is mad about the trade that got Luka sent to LA. So, you know what I'm saying? Don't sleep on that security contract.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. But I just want to let you know we love you, brother minister. We thank you and your family for holding it down, uplifting the name of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, and doing the first work on the front line in that school system. Just graduated. It should allow you. I work with children now, but starting in August, I'm gonna be fully locked in the classroom and all of that. So I'm gonna be reaching out to you, get some advice.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I got some stuff for you.
Okay, good. Shout out to everybody who's working, in the school systems out there, all of the sisters, but especially the men, because it ain't a lot of brothers out there. So
that's right.
I'm going to reach out to you, sir. Yes, and thank you. Praise be to Allah. That's right. Brother Kente, walaikum salam. Thank you, dear family. Shout out to our brother Shahid. That's what he's saying. Thank you, Brother Kente, for always showing love. Inshallah, I look forward to seeing you in person soon.
Real soon.
Yes, sir.
Real soon. We're going to make something happen. I'm going to get out here and I'm going to holler at Amir and see what we can do. We're going to make something happen. But what I do want to say is, man, give your father the greetings. Let him know that we're praying for him and that we love him. You know what I'm saying? And we definitely appreciate the work that he done put in for the nation, this far. And let him know that we got some people coming behind him that's just as strong and that's just as eager and got that same attitude that's trying to move this thing forward, that it ain't going to stop, bro. We're going to keep rolling. We're going to keep rolling, inshallah. Inshallah.
Yes, sir. All praises to Allah. He's watching, and that means a lot to him. This is Joshua Leonard Muhammad signing off of the People's Podcast. Assalamu alaikum, family.